Fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Welcome to BMC News Live in English, brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines.
UAE and Bahrain discussed cooperation in land and maritime transportation. Bahrain and Egypt to organize Manama Health Conference in December. Shura set to vote on key changes to housing law. GCC central banks raised interest rates. Saudi extends visas for Ukrainians without fee.
News in detail. UAE and Bahrain discussed cooperation in land and maritime transportation. The UAE Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure and the Ministry of Transportation and Telecommunications of Bahrain discussed ways of strengthening their cooperation in land and maritime transportation. The discussion took place during their first meeting to monitor the progress of the land and maritime transport cooperation and the implementation of a memorandum of understanding signed by Suhail bin Mohammed Al Masroui, Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, and Kamal bin Ahmed Mohammed, Minister of Transportation of Bahrain, in November 2021. Bahrain and Egypt to organize Manama Health Conference in December. The Manama Health Conference will be held under the patronage of Supreme Council President, Lieutenant General Dr. Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdullah Al Khalifa, National Health Regulatory Authority Chief Executive Officer Dr. Mariam Abdi Al Jalahma today announced the event, which will be held in December in cooperation with Egypt. The conference is in line with the vision of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa to develop the medical sector, supported by His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister. Practitioners from Bahrain, Egypt, Europe, and other Asian countries will participate in the conference, which will be held in cooperation with the National Health Regulatory Authority. The event will feature 6 conferences which focus on lab medicine, sports medicine, dental medicine, pharma medicine, internal medicine, and biomedical engineering. Health alert as strong winds batter Bahrain. Strong winds battered Bahrain yesterday, prompting authorities to cancel major events and medics to issue a health alert for people suffering from respiratory illnesses. The much-awaited Bahrain Food Festival, scheduled to start yesterday, is now expected to take place tomorrow, while events at the F1 Fan Village, set to conclude yesterday, were cancelled. Shura set to vote on key changes to housing law. The Shura Council is set to vote on major amendments to a housing law that could force the ministry to allot bigger homes for Bahraini families on the waiting list. Currently, homes average between 160 square meter and 200 square meter in area, and MPs have asked for more spacious units measuring up to 250 square meters to be allotted to citizens. F1 Bahrain sees drivers from 6 continents. The Formula 1 Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix is a truly global event, and this year's race weekend at Bahrain International Circuit is bringing together drivers from 34 countries across 6 of the 7 continents. A large number of the drivers are from Europe, flying the flags of countries such as Great Britain, the Netherlands, Spain, Monaco, France, Germany, Finland, Denmark, Norway, Estonia, Switzerland, Israel, Turkey, Belgium, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Italy, Austria, and Poland. North America is represented by drivers from Canada, the US, and Barbados, while South America sees competitors from Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina. There are also drivers from Australia and New Zealand, while Asia is being represented by challengers from India, Japan, Thailand, China, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain. Bahrain Holy Quran Grand Prize concluded. Under the patronage of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, the Department of Holy Quran Affairs recently concluded the final qualifiers for the 26th edition of the Bahrain Grand Prize for the Holy Quran. The Ministry of Justice, Islamic Affairs and Endowments held the ceremony online in the presence of Assistant Under-Secretary for Islamic Affairs, Muhammad Tahir Al-Qatan. The participants consisted of 3,563 male and female distributed among 7 group prizes. MENA's first NFT exhibition held in Bahrain. The state-of-the-art NFT MENA Exhibit 2022 that Bahrain has chosen to capitalize presents everyone with a dynamic and futuristic view of the art world regionally and globally. The NFT art exhibition is reinforced by the rising popularity of the blockchain world and specifically the utilization of NFTs by artists internationally. The exhibition opened its door to visitors on March 16th. It will be held until March 18th at the Ritz-Carlton from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Car-free plan in souks to solve congestion. Pedestrian-only zones could soon be introduced in and around Bahrain's traditional souks to solve traffic congestion issues and to provide shoppers and tourists with safe walking spaces and environmentally friendly electric car transportation. The car-free proposal issued by 5 MPs led by Parliament Financial and Economic Affairs Committee Chairman Ahmed Al Saloom covers the Old Manama, Muharrak and East Rifa souks. Fake police media sites harass citizens. Bahrain has warned against being victims of fake websites carrying the logo of the Bahrain Police Media Center being used for e-scam and stealing credit cards. Those websites, discovered during routine follow-up to ensure electronic protection for all users, appear while using malicious links that direct users while surfing the internet and inform individuals that they must pay fines for illegal internet surfing. Today's COVID updates.
COVID updates brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers.
GCC central banks raised interest rates. Gulf central banks on Wednesday raised their main interest rates by a quarter percentage point in lockstep with the US Federal Reserve as it began a monetary tightening cycle in a newly aggressive stance against rising inflation. The Saudi Central Bank, or SAMA, increased both its repo and reverse repo rates by 25 basis points each to 1.25% and 0.75% respectively. The Central Bank of the UAE raised its base rate, which is on its overnight deposit facility, by 25 bps to 0.4%. It maintained the rate on borrowing short-term liquidity from it through all standing credit facilities at 50 bps above its base rate. The central banks of Kuwait and Bahrain also raised their key interest rates by 25 bps. Qatar and Oman are widely expected to follow. UAE cargo ship sank off Iran coast. An Emirati-flagged cargo ship sank Thursday off Iran in the Arabian Gulf in poor weather with rescuers attempting to account for all of its 30 crew members. Captain Nizar told that the Al Salmi 6 encountered rough and stormy weather, then capsized. Rescuers had saved 16 crew members, the captain said. Another 11 had made it onto a life raft, while one person was saved by a nearby tanker. 2 crew members were still in the water, he said. The crew consisted of nationals from Sudan, India, Pakistan, Uganda, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. The vessel had been on its way to Qasr, Iraq, carrying cars and other cargo. Now we will be back after a very short break.
The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahla. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination.
Welcome back. Saudi Labor Initiative benefits 65,000 employees. In March last year, the Saudi Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development launched the Improving Contractual Relationship Initiative in the Kingdom. 1 year into the implementation of the initiative, more than 65,000 foreign employees have benefited from the reforms, including 10 different nationalities, with men forming 93% of those affected. Salaries of 65% of beneficiaries were increased due to the functional mobility service, and more than 30,000 commercial enterprises from all sectors have benefited. Saudi extended visas for Ukrainians without fee. Saudi Arabia's General Directorate of Passports announced on Thursday the extension of visas for Ukrainians in the kingdom for humanitarian considerations, whether they are tourists or businessmen. Extending visas for Ukrainians will be implemented without fees or fines. The extension will be carried out automatically in cooperation with the National Information Center. Kuwait begins the issue of visit visas. The Ministry of Interior will commence issuing visit visas with a validity of 3 months period, starting from 20th March. The department stated that it is necessary to carry the needed documents and follow the procedures to ease and complete all transactions. Kuwait to rehire terminated workers with the same job and pay. A proposal has been presented to rehire oil sector workers who were terminated with the same job grade and the same salary as they had prior to termination or hire. This will be done by adding a paragraph to Oil Sector Labor Law number 28 of 1969. The proposal stipulates that no more than 5 years should have elapsed since the worker was terminated unless he got a job through which he gained experience matching the new job, in addition to not getting a poor or low performance rating in the last 2 years of his previous employment in the oil sector. Moderna seeks FDA authorization for 4th dose of COVID shot. Drug maker Moderna asked the Food and Drug Administration on Thursday to authorize a 4th shot of its COVID-19 vaccine as a booster dose for all adults. In a press release, the company said its request for approval for all adults was made to provide flexibility to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and medical providers to determine the appropriate use of a second booster dose of the mRNA vaccine, including for those at higher risk of COVID-19 due to age or comorbidities. US officials have been laying the groundwork to deliver additional booster doses to shore up the vaccine's protection against serious disease and death from COVID-19. Thousands of Japan homes without power after quake kills 4. Tens of thousands of Japanese households remained without power on Thursday morning after a magnitude 7.4 quake struck shortly before midnight, throwing a swath of northeastern Japan into darkness, severing key transportation links and killing 4. Companies including Toyota Motor Corporation and chipmaker Renesas Electronics Corporation raced to assess the impact, with any supply chain disruption likely to add pressure to the strained global output of smartphones, electronics, and automobiles. The tremor revived memories of Japan's biggest quake of magnitude 9.1, which struck on March 11, 2011 in the same area and which includes Fukushima Prefecture and a nuclear power plant crippled by a tsunami and meltdown. It left a Shinkansen bullet train service indefinitely suspended and at least one major highway to the region closed for safety checks. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I am Vinod Narayanan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.